In this video, I'm walking through an SEO audit for a client to show them what's going on with their website and what can likely be done to help them clean things up and start getting more traffic again. In this audit, I've categorized everything for you by blog post, homepage, product page, whatever page type it is. I've gone through and categorized that. Then I've added technical actions and content actions based on information over here on the right side. And what I want to explain here are just the definitions of these columns, and then I'll get into what needs to be done based on this data to help your site be optimized better and start ranking better again. The columns over here, we have impressions from Search Console, sessions from Google Analytics, change in sessions based on year-over-year data, whether or not that page is losing traffic year-over-year, bounce rate, average session duration, and then we have some info from Screaming Frog here with technical data, the click-through rate, word count on the page itself, links, internal links to this page, outlinks from this page, and then external links into this page as well. And then we have some status code and indexing and sitemap stuff. Now, the biggest things I wanted to talk about would be the technical action recommendations for some of these pages, and then looking at some of this data and explain why these technical and content actions are being recommended. The first one here is add internal links to this page. If you look here on the right, the in links column here, this page has the highest traffic of any page on your site, and it has some of the fewest internal links to the page. So I'm recommending to add more internal links to this page to help it rank better, as it's one of the most important pages on your site. Secondly, if we look here at the content action, I'm recommending to consolidate content on this page. And the reason for that is your word count is 3,200 words. And based on an audit within Surfer, it showed that you are over 1,000 words beyond the expected range of the top 5 ranking sites. And I'll show you an example here with this one that's actually way further beyond that expected range, and it'll make a little bit more sense. Same thing here with these add internal links to this page. The purpose of all of these is very similar here because these are pages that have a lot of traffic and don't have a lot of links coming to these pages from other pages on your site. A lot of these, from a technical perspective, I'm recommending to leave as is. And the reason for that is your site generally is technically pretty sound. There's not a ton of elements that I would recommend to update from a technical perspective, but there are a lot of content updates I'm recommending here. And I'll explain more about those in a couple minutes. Next thing then, for this page here that I mentioned, to leave as is from a technical perspective, but consolidate content. Again, one of the higher traffic pages on your site, it's losing almost 38% traffic year over year and has 10,000 words of content. So if I look at that Surfer overview here, this is your site in purple, and you can see you have over 10,000 words of content on this page. All the top 5 ranking sites in Google are between, or the expected range is between 1,600 and 2,800 words of content. The number 1 ranking site actually has 881 words of content. And the reason for this is Google results now have shifted to want to provide answers quickly to users. And it used to be where you could write a ton of content and you'd rank extremely well. But I'll explain a couple things too that I'm envisioning that is impacting your website with algorithm updates and some of the core algorithm updates based on content and the need to refresh and consolidate your content. So if we go back to the audit here, again, a number of these pages I'm recommending to refresh the content here. And a lot of that is due to the content length is beyond the expected range and beyond what is currently ranking in Google for these keywords here. And you're still on all of these pages, almost every single one of these pages, you're losing or have lost a significant amount of traffic year over year. Now I want to show you what I mean when I'm talking about the likeliness of your site being impacted by core updates. So you had a big dip in traffic in March of 23, and then you had another significant dip in October of 23. So if I go here and look at the algorithm updates from Google in March 23, middle of March, they started the core update rollout, and toward the end of March, it was finally rolled out. And then in October, there were a number of algorithm updates, but there was the core update again in October that finished toward the middle of October. And if we look at what happens during a core update, according to Google, it says they haven't violated spam policies. So your site has not violated spam policies and is not subject to a manual action. And this is based on data that I saw within your Search Console. But if you look here, you can still be impacted by these core algorithm updates because the purpose of the core update is to improve the way Google's systems assess content overall. Some of the elements don't necessarily change within your content, but updating and refreshing the content and consolidating it as needed can improve the content and improve how Google views your content. And you can see here, one way to think about how a core update operates is to imagine you made a list of top 100 movies in 2021. A few years later in 2024, you refresh the list, it's going to naturally change. And same thing with your content, maybe consolidating it, making it easier for people to get answers to the questions. And that can improve the length of your content based on what Google is currently ranking. Now, one other item that I noticed on your site was intrusive interstitials or pop-ups. And you can see here an example of it on the right side. The purpose that Google wanted to create when adding this into the algorithm is to make it so that a user on a website is not impacted negatively and doesn't get locked into what is going on your website with the pop-up, or is not required to fill out the pop-up to continue accessing your site. And here is a screenshot of your site on a phone. When I looked at this on a phone, the pop-up completely covered the window and there's no X on the pop-up and there's no way at the bottom for me to close this out. So from a user perspective, they are being told that they need to add their name and email to continue using your website. So this is something that could be impacting your site as well. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about some of the potential for you for quick wins. So after all of these elements are cleaned up, one other item that we can focus on and work to help you rank better for is looking at and capturing featured snippets. With this filter, what I've done is looked at all pages on your site that rank for results with featured snippets in the 2 to 6 position. Now we could actually filter this from 2 to 10 and get other opportunities here as well. So there's 445 featured snippet opportunities that you're ranked 2 to 10. But I like looking at 2 to 6 because it gives us an idea as to snippets that we can capture even more quickly than 2 to 10. So 158 keyword opportunities with featured snippets, and search volume on some of these is 9,400 searches per month, 4,800, 2,200, and you're ranked 4, 5, 4. So you're in the expected range toward the top already. So making some changes and figuring out what type of featured snippet is ranking, and then figuring out what we need to do to optimize your page better so we can capture these featured snippets and start ranking and getting you traffic immediately for some of these terms. That would be a recommendation from a content optimization perspective as well. And that's basically it. I just wanted to share with you what I see going on with your site, going through the technical and content actions, and then give you a couple other ideas as to what is likely going on based on the data I'm seeing and based on the correlation between timing of traffic dips on your site and core algorithm updates as well. So if you have any questions about this, happy to chat. Hopefully this was helpful, gave you some value, and that's it. See you in the next one.